Hi, I'm Darcel Lobo and I own Dow Law Firm in Normandy Park, and today we're going to talk about the real estate excise tax affidavit, also called a RETA, also called a REIT form. This is a document that is filed with most deeds that are sent to the county for recording. And most deeds need one of these, so a warranty deed, a bargain and sale deed, a quitclaim deed. There are a few deeds that don't require a RETA, like a fulfillment deed or a transfer on death deed, or at least the transfer on death deed, you don't need it until the person has passed away. At the time that you record the transfer on death deed, you don't submit the RETA. When the person's passed away and the interest in the home needs to be transferred to the beneficiary, then you record the RETA. But that's a different video, and I think I've talked about transfer on death deeds. I'll link to that down below if you're interested, but we're talking about the RETA form specifically today and what it is and how it works. So this document, whenever you transfer real estate in Washington state, no matter what county it is, there is an excise tax that is usually charged. That's like a sales tax on the transfer of the real estate. Now, the tax rate for the excise tax, it previously used to be about 1.78% between the state and the local tax combined for the excise tax. Now there's like a tiered structure, and based on the sales price will determine how much the tax will be. It's from about 1.6% to over 3%. So it's going to depend on your sales price. It's going to dictate how much the sales tax will be, and it will also dictate what percentage rate that tax is. Again, because there's currently a range. It used to be a flat 1.78. Now it's a tiered structure based on the sales price. So I say that most transfers have this tax, but there are a lot of transfers that are exempt from this excise tax, where there will be zero excise tax due. In those cases, there's no excise tax due, but you still have to pay a $10 like administrative fee, and then you still also will have your recording costs of the county, which are now over $300. The recording fees have gone up quite a bit. I think January 1st of this year, 2024, it went up by $100. It used to be like the low 200s, now it's like the low 300s for the recording fee by itself, even if there is no excise tax. So I mentioned exemptions. Let's talk about when your property transfer may be exempt. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. There is a whole list of exemptions, and if I remember to do so, I will link to the WAC code and the Washington Administrative Code that outlines all the exemptions, because there's a really long list. I'm just going to go over the ones that we commonly use in our office. So if you are gifting real estate to someone, there is no excise tax due on that gift as long as it actually is a gift. There can be no consideration if there's going to be a gift. If there's consideration, then it's not a gift. Okay, so there has to be no consideration given for it to qualify as a gift. And if you are doing a gift, there is a supplemental form that you have to do along with the RETA form that goes with it, but we're not going to get into detail of that, but just know there's an additional form that you'd have to do if you are gifting real estate to someone. Another exemption is if you're transferring real estate to an LLC. So if you own a property and you're transferring property into an LLC that you are the sole owner of also, there is no excise tax on that transfer. But the current owner of the real estate and the members of the LLC have to be the same. So if it's just you who owns the real estate, but it's you and a partner on the LLC, well, that's not going to be fully exempt because the ownership structure is different. It has to be the same people on the deed currently and the same people who are in the LLC. Also, an inheritance. So if you inherit real estate, like through a probate or through a transfer on death deed, there is no excise tax on that transfer. If you are transferring real estate to a revocable living trust, so let's say as a part of your estate plan, you do a revocable living trust. In order for that revocable living trust to function properly, it has to own your real estate. So if you transfer real estate that you currently own into your revocable living trust, or if you're a married couple and the two of you own real estate and you formed a trust, you're transferring it into your joint trust, there is no excise tax on that transfer. If there is a divorce and there's a court-ordered divorce decree that says spouse A is to receive that they've been awarded the real estate in the divorce, there is no excise tax on that transfer because it is pursuant to a divorce decree. Now, some of these exemptions require that you provide additional documentation, and the WAC code that I'll make sure that I remember that I link below, it outlines when you have to provide documentation. So for a divorce decree, I believe you have to provide a copy of the divorce decree with that deed showing that it was awarded to the spouse to make sure that that transfer is exempt from excise tax. If it's an inheritance pursuant to like a probate, I believe they want a copy of letters testamentary that you send to the county showing that the person's authorized to transfer that property to the beneficiary, whoever it's going to. So the WAC code outlines what you need to provide, if anything, if you are transferring property that is an exempt transfer from any excise tax. So if you're doing the RETA form, again, the real estate excise tax affidavit, this form is updated all the time, at least annually, if not sometimes twice a year. It seems like it's updated a lot. They have this form on their website from the county recorder's office. I believe most county recorder's offices have it. If they don't, it's the same form statewide. King County has it on their website, so you can go there to get it, even if you're in Pierce County or Lincoln County or Ferry County or whatever county you're in Washington State. It's the same form. So you can just grab the template from the recorder's office in King County and use it in whatever county you're recording your deed in. But just make sure that you are using the correct RETA form, the most current version. If you don't, it'll get kicked back. It'll be rejected by the county. One thing, this didn't used to be such an issue, but the RETA form requires a phone number for both the grantor, the person giving the property, and the grantee, the person receiving the property. Make sure you fill in the phone number. If you don't, it'll get kicked back. This didn't used to be the case. Maybe like a year-ish or so ago, we started seeing this happening with the county kicking it back for no phone numbers, and make sure you have the phone number on there. On the RETA form, both the grantor, again, the person given the property, and the grantee, the person receiving the property, need to sign the RETA form at the bottom. It does not need to be notarized. So while the deed needs to be notarized by the grantor, the RETA form does not need to be notarized. It just gets signed, dated, and you have to list what city you signed it in. So make sure you fill that in the bottom as well. If you are a married couple and you're transferring it, just one spouse can sign. Depending on what the transfer is, I like to have both spouses sign, but it depends on what we're doing, so that's kind of case specific. But just one of the grantors and one of the grantees needs to sign. So sometimes you might have a property, if it's being inherited, maybe it's going to like 3 or 4 people who are going to co-own that property. Only one of those grantees will sign the RETA form on behalf of the grantees, okay? This RETA form is a pretty long and detailed form, and is a common reason why the recording of a deed can be rejected by a county, is that it's not fully completed or not completed accurately, and you're missing something. So make sure you go through it line by line to make sure you fill it out. It is a fill in the blank form. There's just a lot of blanks and a lot of boxes to check on it. So, and it's like it has to be legal sized. So even though you can print it in like a letter size, like 8.5 by 11, you have to print it on legal size paper, 8.5 by 14, or else the county will not record it. So make sure it's printed on legal size paper. So this is a short explanation of the RETA form, how it works, when excise tax will be charged, when it is exempt from excise tax. So I hope this was helpful. If you need help, give our office a call. Our number is 206-408-8158, or you can visit us online at dowlawfirm.com. All right, thank you.